Who do you admire most? This is a question I've been asked many times during job interviews. Every time, I answer the same way. My mother. My mother raised my twin sister and me all by herself. Our father divorced her when we were very young, and I don't remember him at all. I always thank my busy-looking mother on Mother's Day, saying, "Thank you for everything. You don't need to thank me. It was the path I chose, even if it meant taking your father away from you," she always said. According to what my grandmother told me, the divorce was due to my father's infidelity. I think I would be incredibly shocked if I were in her shoes, but I have never seen my mother show weakness or complain. She's always been a cheerful, bright, and energetic person. I'm so different from her that I sometimes doubt I was born to her. I'm quite sensitive. As a child, I was often made to cry by my classmates. Now that I'm an adult, I don't cry anymore, but I've become a man who struggles to speak up. That's why I always want to be like my strong and cheerful mother. I've thought this way for a long time. "Oh, you should have gone to the Grand Canyon when I was there." That loud voice on the phone was my twin sister, Ashley. Ashley is the complete opposite of me, inheriting our mother's strong personality. She can be a bit too assertive sometimes. "No, it's a treat for Mom. I can't always accommodate your schedule." I can talk back to Ashley, at least. After graduating middle school, the smart Ashley went to a boarding school on a scholarship, and we've lived apart since. As for me, I struggled with studies and started working part-time right after middle school. But recently, seeing everyone my age graduating from university, I decided to start job hunting. Finding a job as a high school dropout wasn't easy, but after about a year of balancing part-time work and job hunting, I finally got a job. With my first paycheck, I decided to take my mother to the Grand Canyon. Ashley, having graduated from high school, now works at an apparel shop in New York. Waiting for her to come home could mean waiting forever. So I decided to go with just the two of us. She's always been a bit selfish. Well, that's sad to hear, but okay, let's go again when I come back. Sounds good, we'll do that. So, the plan to treat Mom to a little trip was settled. My salary is on the lower side, especially considering it's my first paycheck. The inn isn't luxurious, but it's reputable. On the day of the trip, Mom was excited from the morning and remained cheerful throughout our stay at the inn. "Brandon taking me to the Grand Canyon. You've really grown up." She teared up so much that it was a bit embarrassing. But seeing her so happy made me genuinely happy. Yet, raising Ashley and me for 22 years, this trip is hardly enough. We have some time before dinner. What should we do? It was too short for a shower, and we had already done some sightseeing. Then Mom said, the receptionist mentioned there's a foot spa bath at the entrance, so we decided to go there. Actually, it was the first time for both of us to try a foot spa bath. It was cold outside, and I wondered if just soaking our feet would really warm us up. I was skeptical. But once we tried it, it was as if all my doubts were a lie. The foot bath was truly wonderful. "It's so warm, almost too hot." My mother said this, fluttering her hands in front of her face. "Yeah, it's surprising." I also felt quite warmed up and very comfortable. When you were little, we used to put our feet in ice water like this with Ashley. It was the opposite then since it was too hot, and we did it to cool down. Sitting here with you reminds me of that time. Hearing this from Mom, I searched my memory. And I remembered a time when Ashley and I were in elementary school. It was during a summer vacation. It was an incredibly hot day, and we wanted to go to the swimming pool, but Ashley had a big injury on her arm and couldn't swim. "I hate this, it's so hot, and I can't even go swimming." Ashley cried and complained, even though it was her injury. Actually, she got hurt because she was being naughty and didn't listen to the teacher's warning. It made sense if I complained, but why was Ashley crying? I thought this to myself while waiting for Ashley to stop crying. Then Mom said, "How about we do a feet-only pool?" Feet-only pool. Ashley and I, having never heard of such a thing, were puzzled. Ignoring our confusion, Mom quickly started to prepare. She filled wash basins and buckets, any large container she could find, with cold water and placed them on the balcony. Then she set up chairs in front of them and said with a smile, "Here you go. Really? Can we cool off just by dipping our feet?" Despite her skepticism, Ashley was the first to plunge her feet into the bucket. Then she began to frolic, exclaiming, "Yikes, it's cold." Seeing this, I too sat next to her and cautiously dipped my feet into another wash basin. It was pleasantly cold and felt really good. But since it was a hot summer, the water quickly warmed up, so we had to change it several times from the bathroom, but we still managed to cool off, and our first feet-only pool was a lot of fun. I had forgotten about it until now. Recalling my childhood, I realized that even though we didn't have much money, Mom always found ways to create fun memories for us. Yeah, I remember that. How nostalgic. As I said this, Mom smiled happily. Our fun memories are just as precious to Mom as they are to us. I felt reassured thinking about that. Thanks to the foot bath, not only did my body warm up, but my heart did too. It was at that moment I heard giggling from next to me. At first, I tried to ignore it, but after hearing the next words, I couldn't help but look their way. "Man, that's such a poor-sounding episode. Haha. Hey, stop that, haha." The man spoke, and the woman tried to stop him, but she too seemed to be laughing. I wasn't sure, but it seemed like they were talking about us. It's not like strangers have any right to mock us. Me, being the timid type, just looked at their faces in surprise. I recognized them immediately and remembered who they were. Mike. I accidentally said his name out loud, and he looked surprised at first, then laughed even louder. He was Mike, a classmate from elementary to middle school. He always targeted me for being timid and tearful. He always pointed out my shortcomings, calling me poor or dumb, my least favorite classmate. I never wanted to see him again. I should have pretended not to know him, but the words just slipped out. It seemed like Mike hadn't realized it was me he was mocking. That in itself is questionable. "Who is that? Someone you know?" The woman with Mike asked him that. Then, I feel like I've seen him before, but who was it again?" I was shocked to hear that. To me, Mike was almost like a trauma, having caused me so much pain. I remembered his name immediately, even after nearly 10 years. Yet, to him, I was so insignificant that he couldn't even remember my name. Him remembering wouldn't heal my past wounds or change anything. But the fact that I remembered so vividly while he didn't, made me feel frustrated and sad. And I also wondered what my mother, standing behind me, was thinking. I felt guilty for making her experience this during our supposed filial trip. Even as an adult, I couldn't stand up for myself. Seeing my silence as an opportunity, Mike continued his taunts. "Now I remember, you were the guy who got bullied. Didn't go to high school, right? A middle school dropout from a single-parent poor family. That's what people said. Middle school dropout, single-parent poor family." It hurt to hear that, but it was all true. But what's wrong with that? Why should it be laughed at and ridiculed? Others might see it as miserable, but I've done my best. I wish I could say that back to him, but I couldn't find the words. I worked part-time with only a middle school education, overcame job hunting, and became a working adult. I thought I had changed, but maybe I hadn't progressed at all. I was so frustrated that I clenched my fists on my knees. That's when, "Hey man, what did you just say?" A deep, authoritative voice came from in front of me. Looking in the direction of the voice, there was a large man with tattoos on his arms. Of course, he wasn't someone I knew, but even Mike seemed surprised. Normally, I'd avoid such a scary person, but his words seemed like he was standing up for me. Confused and stunned, I listened as the man continued. "What did you say? Something about a middle school dropout?" He wasn't raising his voice, but his presence was so imposing. Mike seemed overwhelmed by his presence. I just said he's like a middle school dropout from a poor single-parent family," Mike replied, and the man pressed on. "Yeah, that's what you were saying. And what's so funny about that? You were laughing pretty hard. Tell me." "No, not really." Mike couldn't talk back, overpowered by the man's presence. Even I, supposedly being defended, was too scared to speak. The tension was so thick. "Whatever kind of upbringing you had, man, making fun of someone here with his mom is nothing to be proud of. If you went to high school and college and still don't get that, then being a middle school dropout was the right choice for you." The man said this and then turned to me with a smile. His smile was intimidating, missing some teeth. But his expression and words conveyed that he was a genuinely warm person. Mike, looking embarrassed, quickly left the footbath, and the woman followed him. Thank you," I managed to say to the man, still a bit nervous. Then, "Don't mention it. I didn't do anything worth thanking for. I just spoke up because it pissed me off. Don't worry about it." He said this and laughed again. And then, I realized that his words resembled something I had often heard before. "It's the path I chose, so you don't need to thank me." Those were the words my mother kept saying. Throughout this whole incident, Mom had been silently observing. Being the strong and decisive woman she is, she probably had many moments where she wanted to speak up. Mom remained unchanged, her face alight with a cheerful smile, even after encountering Mike. Mom is chatting up a big guy, saying, "Well, that's some impressive tattoo you've got there." After a bit of conversation, the man asked her, "So, it's just you and your son today?" "Yes, that's right. He brought me here with his first paycheck to enjoy sightseeing of the Grand Canyon." When Mom responded like that, the man said, "You've got a good son there. Maybe I should give my mom back in the countryside a call. Really, thank you." Then he disappeared towards the lobby. "People can be unexpectedly nice, huh?" Mom said casually, making me feel reassured. And I felt grateful for the man's presence too. Without the two of them, I would probably still be sulking about how the Grand Canyon trip was ruined. After that, I never saw the man again, but we had no more problems and enjoyed the rest of the trip with my mother. Persisting in what you believe in with strong will, without seeking thanks or reward, I reflected. This attitude must surely be saving many people without the person even realizing it. My mother, who raised Ashley and me, and that unknown man. From that day, the number of people I admire grew to 2,